Wow, what a game, huh? Well, the Raiders didn't cover again. That's a real shock. Um, as far as the Broncos, they didn't really go to that game plan of trying to wear out the Raiders defense. I knew the Raiders pass defense sucks, but I expected them to run a whole lot more. It probably wasn't really working for them. I'll get to that in the grades, but as far as the home field advantage, I think the altitude got to the coaching staff of the Broncos more than any of the players, and I'll talk about that in the grades too. And Drew Lock, he looked pretty good. He looked really good, and I think a turnip could look good against his pass defense. For the Raiders, that was off too. I expected. Gruden basically did it his way again. A lot of passing, base offense on the first drive, three and out, run, pass, punt. Like I said before, Raiders had less rushing attempts than Melvin Gordon did in the game. As far as exploiting that offensive line, didn't happen really. They got two sacks. They didn't really get to Lock until they started blitzing late in the game. I think Rod Marinelli finally woke up and realized that if you blitz Drew Lock, he's not as effective. What a shocker. Last chance for Carr. Nah, he's going to probably be there for life. He did have a decent game. He threw one really bad throw, and it got picked off. He had another interception, but that wasn't on him. It bounced off Waller's hand, so I'm not going to blame him for that one. So as far as my sleepers, Jerry Jeudy went off. He had 140 yards and a touchdown with that big 92-yard touchdown pass he had in the fourth quarter. He didn't get as many targets as I thought, but he cashed in where he could. As far as Carlson, he only had 6 points. I was expecting more, but they had four turnovers, plus they went for two late in the game for the win. For the grades, if you're not familiar with my previous grading videos, I break down between offense, defense, special teams, coaching, and then give a final grade overall. So we'll start with the Broncos here. As far as the run offense, nothing really spectacular. They had 122 yards rushing in the game. It's about league average. Like I said, had a couple decent runs, but like I said, nothing real spectacular, nothing real dominant. The pass offense, I gave it a B. I mean, I probably graded it. You could have given them an A. Block had 339, two touchdowns, no interceptions. Plus, their offensive line, I mentioned in the last video, Glasgow, their guard was questionable. He played part of the game and then he was out. And Dalton Reisner came out of the game with an injury. So they did a pretty good job. Raiders only had two sacks. I mean, like I said, you probably could have given them an A, but I know the Raiders' pass defense sucks. So I kind of graded on a curve the other way. As far as the total, I give them a B. I think the offense for Denver was good enough to win this game. They didn't win, but I think they did their job in this game. As far as the defense, it it's kind of a tale of two halves. I think they looked better, obviously, in the first half and the second half. They only gave up a few big rushes. They did give a 20-yard rush to Josh Jacobs in the fourth quarter for a touchdown, but it seemed like when they were tested, they kind of stepped up to the plate. I give them a B overall. Raiders only had 106 yards rushing, but they did have 4.6 yards per carry. So I would say that's more to the game plan than anything else. As far as the pass defense, I gave them a C minus. I was going to go lower, but then they had four turnovers in the game, two interceptions. I can't knock them too much, but they ultimately did kind of fold this team. They gave up two pretty good drives, a 9-play drive and a 7-play drive in the fourth quarter, and then the 2-point conversion. And so for the total, I gave them a C minus. Like I said, it's a tale of two halves. They did ultimately fail. They gave up that conversion, and that was pretty much the game. Special teams, I gotta give them an F. There were two blocked field goals, one at the end of the game, or near the end, like 2 seconds left, or whatever. but you could tell that the field goals were kind of low trajectory, and they both got blocked, and could have probably cost them the game. They probably would have made one of those, so I got to give them an F for that. Later on, Max Crosby was talking in the interview because he said he blocked two. I know he blocked the last one. I'm not sure about the other one, but they were asking him about it, and he was saying that their defensive or Denver's offensive line was quote unquote lazy, so he could exploit it and get in there and get the block. I thought that was funny. So yeah, obviously they get an F. The preparation, I give him a C. I didn't see anything that stood out. Obviously, they attacked the pass defense, which, like I said, that's a big duh. For the execution, though, they have to have an F. Vic Fangio called it his third and final timeout. When the Raiders were, if you didn't see the game, the Raiders got the touchdown to tie. They were 1 point down, and they decided to go for two late in the game. Probably didn't want to go to overtime, obviously, because the game doesn't really mean anything as far as playoffs. And the Raiders were undecided on what to really do. It looked like they were they took Waller off the field and they put Waller back on, and it looked like they were going to have a delay of game. And then Denver calls the timeout. Like they were confused. So yeah, they obviously get an F. So that gave Raiders time to set up a play. They got a slant to Waller for the 2-point conversion. Stupid. Well, final grade's an F. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, like Raiders, Denver didn't turn the ball over once. Raiders turned the ball over 4 times, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. They still lose the game. I don't know what else to say about that. Terrible, terrible. Raiders offense, I gave the run offense a B plus. Like I said, they had 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. They were averaging 4.6 yards a carry. And I put when utilized because they only ran the ball 23 times. I can't knock the offense in and of itself. That's more of a coaching decision, obviously. So I gave them a B plus. The pass offense, this was hard because Carr had a pretty good game. Overall, not the greatest, but not terrible. He had 311 with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Like I said, one wasn't his fault. But the turnovers, I can't overlook the turnovers. And then the offensive line, I've seen this the last few games. The offensive line just really had a breakdown. I know they've had some injuries, but it's really degraded. And I think I'll address that when I talk about the exit interview this week, the video, where I go over what I think the Raiders are going to do in the offseason as far as cuts and salary cap and all that and players they want to keep. That will definitely be a focal point. Total offense is a B. They kind of struggled a little early on, and like I said, but they had a strong finish. Carr drove them down on 2, like I said, the 9-play drive, the 7-play drive. Uh, uh, Good overall. Like I said, though, there's still some issues, but looked like they were doing better as the game went on. Woohoo! The defense. Let's talk about them again. These grades didn't change a whole lot from last week. The run defense, honestly, it's looked a lot better since Paul Guenther's dismissal and Marinelli's come in. Even with Kwiatkowski being out this week, it's pretty solid run defense overall. Not great, but I would a little bit above average. I give him a B. Probably being a little nice, but as far as the pass defense, oh, it's terrible. It's terrible on both sides. When I say both sides, I look at it from the pass rush side, getting to the quarterback, and then the pass coverage. The DBs look lost out there. They've been looking lost for weeks. I don't know if they just don't have the discipline internally, or if it's coaching or what, but that's got to get fixed. The pass rush, only 2 sacks against this makeshift line. And I talked about in my last video about Denver's offensive line not being that great. It was very disappointing. I expected a lot more. I expected a lot more pass rush. I expected a lot more sacks. Turnovers from Drew Lock didn't happen. F. As far as the total defense, I gave them a D. They did get some key stops late. But so I didn't give him a total F, but again, it's Denver, and I think there's some coaching issues with Denver. It's kind of similar to the Chargers. I really don't know if the head coach knows what he's doing, to be honest. And to get off on a very slight tangent, it kind of makes sense what I said because Anthony Lynn got fired today from the Chargers. Big shocker there. Anyway, let's get back to these grades. Special teams is an A. 2 blocks. Max said he got both. I'm not sure. But either way, they came up big on special teams. The preparation, I give it a D. Uh, it's really not going to change. I would prefer a coach that kind of works to what he has. If he wants to have a system, then get the players to fit the system. If they're hurt, you work with what you got and you game plan accordingly. This guy wants to do it his way regardless, and it's kind of pisses me off. Probably pisses off whole Raider Nation, to be honest. And then the execution, I was probably kind here. I could have given him an F, but kind of Vic Fangio with the timeout had his hold my beer moment. So I just put Drew Lock really. Drew Lock's had a passing efficiency of 50% this year, and they kind of made him look like a superstar. So, you know, I give him a D minus though because Vic Fangio was even worse. And what can I say? I mean, all in all, I gave him a D. I know they won. Probably one of the ugliest wins I've seen. Like I said, I put on there, felt like a loss. That's how it kind of feels. And and to be honest, I mean, they're all cheering, and it's like, what are you really cheering about? You barely beat a team that, honestly is not that great. They've had their injuries. I mean, winning's good, but there's a lot. It's like, you know, it's more of a golf clap celebration in my opinion. And again, I think a lot of the internal things need to be fixed on this team. Hopefully they do in 2021. And I'm going to go into that in my exit interview video coming up this week. What I think the Raiders should do, and maybe what they're going to probably do in the off season as far as cuts, and we'll go over some salary cap numbers and see what we can look at on both sides of the ball. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Give me some comments. Constructive comments are always welcomed. Share if you're new to the channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications on any new videos. Thanks for watching, and of course, look out for my next video on our exit interview for the Raiders.